So I did a studio shoot with the XF33 1.4. I really wanted to try it in the studio, and I didn't. I shot off the hip, kind of like I didn't pay attention. I put it on a center focus point and just wanted to see if it would pick up the eye in most cases without moving around the focus point and so forth. If it's on face detect and IO to focus, it's gonna grab the focus anyway. So I just wanted to see how it would do without being critical in my focusing, but just shooting, and it did really, really well. I also did, I put a hat on the model, with like fringy things on it, just to see if it would pick up the eye. At that point, it did okay. The fringes on the hat did confuse the lens/camera a lot. I mean, I probably went down to a 50% hit rate at that point. But for normal shooting, with the model's head turned, it did really well. It picked up profile shots. It was sharp still. And it was actually sharp in the eye on the profile shots, and if the hair was in the face a little bit. So it was a great shoot. And the other part of this is I put it on continuous autofocus, and I never use continuous autofocus on Fuji, which I don't know why. I probably should, but I think it was maybe with the 56 or another lens that just wasn't great with continuous autofocus. I stayed in this single autofocus, and it just worked for me. But yesterday's model, she moves a lot. So I wanted to try the continuous autofocus. It worked really, really well with the new lens. I'm presuming the 18 would be the same. When I used the 18 at the event last week, and it did a fantastic job. There were more grip and grins and hey, smile, let's get a group shot, that kind of stuff. So I really didn't need continuous autofocus at any point. Even on the dance floor, they didn't move a lot. So anyway, the other side of this video, which is disturbing to me, is Adobe. Adobe Photoshop updated yesterday, I believe, or within the vicinity of yesterday, for the iPad. Now, as you know from the last video, I got the M1 with 1 terabyte, and it has 16 gigabyte of RAM. So when I was using the photos already loaded onto Lightroom from before the iPad, the data downloaded from the cloud, I still had those hiccups where it wouldn't open up in Photoshop right away. I'd have to open it twice, but it seemed like it was a little less. So I really wanted to load this shoot with from the 33 directly onto the iPad and see how it did from a raw shoot from load. And it was surprisingly bad. This update didn't fix the issues that we've had, but introduced new, even major bugs now into this update. So with the extra 16 gigabyte of RAM, not extra, but the 16 gigabyte of RAM, and Apple saying, hey, you can use more of this RAM if you need it. Now I get the error message quite often of, you don't have enough RAM to use this feature. Whether it was whatever brush it was or whatever I was doing, this thing would pop up. I managed to get a screen capture, not a great one, but I got a screen capture because it would keep showing it one after another, saying you don't have enough RAM. So the 4th generation iPad, which had less RAM, didn't give me those errors. Now, it could be the update or could be the I don't know. Like, I'm just totally confused on one, why we're getting a RAM error when we have more RAM now. And in any case, why would Adobe release an update that is absolutely positively plain out worse than the one before? Anyway, after this RAM thing, the app's going to crash every single time. It just crashes. So, you know, I was deep into a couple of the edits, and I got the RAM message, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'll just exit out of it, the message, and start retouching again. I start retouching it every time it would just crash. So it's unstable now. You can't use it professionally unless you have a really lot of time on your hands that you just want to waste. Because I'm saying maybe every 4 or 5 images I was working on, it would crash. So horrible update. The M1 iPad is not helping or hindering, because we don't know if it's straight Adobe or if it's Adobe with the M1, or there's just too many. I mean, I said before I like Affinity Photo, but I didn't want to learn Affinity Photo, but I may need to at this point, unless I want to go back to my laptop and start doing, you know, edits on desktop again. But the way Adobe, the Photoshop Adobe mobile puts out their updates, they're so far and few that I have no idea. It could be a week, it could be a month before they do an update and get this fixed again. And you know, the sad part is the Lightroom, you know, the updates are always great. That team is just fabulous in what they're doing. But the Adobe Photoshop mobile team is, I can't imagine putting out a product like this and being proud of it. It's really that bad. So hopefully they fix this, and hopefully they fix their team and do some tests before they put out updates, because you know, they made it worse, and you can't go backwards on this. So anyway, enjoy the shoot. I'm sorry about the rant on Adobe, but it's, you know, it's my workflow every day, and it's killing me. So I'm hoping it gets an update pretty quick, just at least to fix it or bring it back to the old one where, you know, we still had bugs, but they weren't critical bugs where the app would crash every 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Enjoy the shoot. If you have any questions, leave them below. Love the 33. It really is great. And I hope the audio and video was better than normal. I know you guys were saying the audio was bad, so I raised it up a little bit. I hope I did it correctly. Thanks. Oh, one more thing. I just wanted to add, today I'm using a speed light and an umbrella. That's it. The whole shoot will be lit with just one speed light and one medium umbrella, and it's a deep, well, relatively deep umbrella. Okay, I'm going to give you some commentary through this. I'll do my best not to be boring or say stupid things. This is Jaina. She's a very active poser most of the time, but I just told her to, you know, turn her head so I can see how the 33mm does, you know, without seeing the eye directly. You know, to somewhat block her eyes once in a while with her hair or whatever. But as you can see in these photos, the 33 did a great job. You know, whether it was a profile or straight on with a little bit of cover in her hair, the eyes covered with her hair, it did a great job. The kicker with this lens is that I never used continuous autofocus before with the Fuji. Honestly, I just never did, because I'm, you know, mostly use it. I don't shoot sports or anything, but the continuous autofocus did really, really well. I apologize for the color balance in the videos. I just don't set that up. I just shoot. But anyway, the continuous autofocus really locked on pretty well. You know, yeah, I did have some out of focus shots with it, but not many. And the hit rate was fantastic, actually. I would probably say out of the shots I did, you know, maybe 10 shots were out of focus. And I'd love to blame the lens, but it's probably user error more than the lens. Because I purposely tried to shoot nonchalant, like just shoot to see how the lens would do. And it did really well. I actually loved shooting it in the studio. And I have a smaller studio, so the 33 actually is perfect for the size of studio that I have. I can get a full length and then get close, and it's not like claustrophobic. So I was really happy with it. The kicker was the editing of these, which I'll discuss later, but the update that Adobe just did was absolutely horrible. Oh, with these photos here, I went with I took the umbrella off for a couple of these and did straight flash. Now the umbrella's back on, but I'm adding the V-flat black side so I can absorb the light on one side, just to give more of a contrast. Because of the dress, the black and white dress, I wanted more of a contrast and dramatic look with it, and it worked out pretty well. I love the way it came out. And this single speed light and umbrella works so well. I mean, yeah, I do have natural light coming in from the window, of course, but this just added such a pop to the photos. I loved it. And as you can see, she just never stops with the posing. She just goes and goes, which makes shooting her so much fun, because you get some really unique shots with this. As you can see, but you can see the contrast with that, the V-flat absorbing that light. Now for this, I went back to the white V-flat side, just add a little bit more light in the one side, and it worked out pretty well. The stills that you'll see coming up are pretty damn good. The whole shoot worked out really well. So, in studio, 33 millimeter, 1.4, absolutely positively love it. Would recommend it highly. I used it at an event last week and loved it at the event. So it's an all-around great lens. I did a close-up, and I put a hat on her just to see if I can, confuse the lens for the autofocus system. And as you can see, it did lock onto the eye. But this, I'm telling you, I went down to like 50% hit rate on this. And I just wanted to go over Adobe really quick, because they did an update, and I was thinking, they fixed the bugs. And honestly, they did fix the bug where, putting it into Photoshop, edit in Photoshop, was less buggy. But now you can go through and edit your photo, and halfway through it, it'll crash. And it did this more than once. And then I also had a pop-up, which is ironic as hell, because I'm using the M1 with the 16 gig of RAM, and the Photoshop stopped working, and I got the message that it said ran out of RAM memory, which, if you have 16 RAM of memory on the new M1 and they're allocating more to Photoshop, why would Photoshop run out of RAM? And then it just crashed. So yeah, I still think Photoshop has a long way to go. And it seems that some of the updates are actually making this even more buggy, and this is definitely one of the updates that's making this more buggy. This pass of I'm sorry about the quick editing. I just wanted to edit just a little bit, but yeah, this I'm sorry, but this version is actually worse.